Hello. What are the effects of the breakup of a marriage or a long-term committed relationship? A lot of people avoid ending a marriage or a long-term relationship, at least for a period of time, because they are well aware that there's going to be an upheaval, there's going to be upset, there's going to be negative aspects to it. And that can be really difficult to face. But on the other hand, if you're unhappy in a relationship, then resentment and frustration builds up. And that isn't going to go away once if you've tried everything and it's still an unhappy relationship, then the decision has to be made. Are you going to stay in an unhappy relationship, or is it time to make the break for everybody's sake? Of course, the effects are painful and are difficult, and that will the degree to which that is difficult or not isn't a single decision that one person or one party can make. But if both parties are agreed, or if both parties are able to go through the practicalities easily, then it's obviously going to be a much smoother journey. But there are things that have to be renegotiated, re-looked at, and set out again in a different way. The sort of things that you need to think about if you're thinking, what are the effects if I break my own relationship, if my own relationship ends, the sort of things that need to be taken into account. Obviously, you're going to change your living arrangements, either where you live or who you live with. It's going to have an effect on finances for most people. Relationships with family, friends, if you've got children, who has custody, who sleeps when, where, all that sort of thing has to be arranged. Pets, and also work. Sometimes that can have an effect on your work relationships, especially if you've worked together. On the emotional side, there can also be things to take into consideration and to prepare for. Another reason that people often avoid ending a relationship or moving out of a relationship is that fear of the future. What's going to happen? It can feel, and it is a bit of a false security ultimately, but there is that feeling that if you're in a relationship, you feel a little bit more secure perhaps. And if you're there on your own, you wonder, well, can I manage? What will happen in the future? And if it's come as a surprise, then that obviously can lead to additional worry, things like insomnia, eating pattern changes, effects on mental health, feelings of out of control, or overwhelm happen. There can also be reactions from people when they're breaking up, and sometimes things that you don't expect can come to the surface that you didn't know they were feeling, because it's like Pandora's box has been opened and everything's coming out. So there can be anger, sadness, bitterness, grief, feelings of rejection or despair. But there's also a bit of a positive side to it, because the self-questioning that can happen can be really beneficial. It can cause you to stop and go, well, who am I? What am I doing here? What do I actually want from life? What's my life purpose? All these questions can come to the surface. Now, of course, the whole process can be very stressful, and stress is a big factor in health problems. So anything that can reduce that stress and make things smoother is going to be really worthwhile. So on the positive side, being prepared to change means that these life questions can be addressed, means that you're taking steps to improve your life, even if you didn't want the relationship breakup or the divorce. By grasping the opportunity that it gives you, it does mean that you can perhaps look more realistically at the relationship and say, well, I didn't want it to end because whatever that might be, but it does give me an opportunity for this, or I wasn't happy with that and I could change this. It does give an opportunity to reevaluate and move on towards a life that you want in the direction that you want. Obviously, it involves a certain amount of self-healing, or a lot of self-healing, whichever way you like to look at it. Personally, I think self-care and self-healing and self-understanding never ends. There's always more, and it's a fabulous journey once you start it, because the benefits are enormous. And if anybody can grasp that as a result of going through the pain of a relationship breakup, then that is absolutely the best effect that you can have. So there's some ideas on what are the effects of the breakup of a marriage or a long-term committed relationship.